Hi, I'm Psychology Professor Bruce Hinrichs, and I'm going to give you some ideas about how to become more happy, how to improve your happiness. So, to improve your happiness, the first thing is to be aware of three factors that get in the way of happiness. Number one is the negativity bias. This means we are like programmed through evolution to pay attention to negative things, to think about them, to react to them. You've heard of fight or flight response. So when something's unpleasant, we really pay attention to that, and it has a much greater effect on our psychological state than positive experiences do. So if you become aware of negativity bias, then you can pay more attention to positive experiences and think about them more and savor them and make your brain work on them more so it will affect you psychologically more than the negative. So number one, be aware of negativity bias. Two other things that get in the way of happiness are heredity and circumstances. Heredity means, of course, what we inherit from our parents. We get genes, we get these recipes for how our brain is going to work. So why are some people happy and some are not happy? It turns out about half the reason is heredity. If everybody had exactly the same heredity, 50% of the differences in happiness would go away. So heredity is one of the factors that sort of gets in the way of being happy for some people. The third factor is circumstances. About 10% of the differences between people in happiness are due to different circumstances in life. Yeah, it's only 10%. But yes, if you have circumstances like you have a terminal illness, if you have a trauma, there are circumstances that, yes, get in the way of happiness. That leaves 40% of happiness due to our activities and our outlook. We're going to get to those in just a minute. Because of heredity, a lot of scientists think we have a set point for happiness, that if we follow people throughout life, we discover that when they have a happy event, their happiness goes up, but then it goes back to where it was before. So if someone wins a lottery, temporarily, for maybe 3 months, they're very happy, but then their happiness goes back to where it was. So we have this idea of a hereditary happiness set point, that your happiness is sort of set at a certain point. So we have to do some things to get us off of that set point, to increase our happiness beyond our set point. I'm going to show you those in just a minute. People often ask me, are men happier or are women happier? And it turns out they're about the same. I remember George Bernard Shaw was asked if who's smarter, men or women. He said, which man and which woman. So yeah, it depends on the individual. Same thing with happiness. But here's a chart that shows us men and women have about the same level of happiness, but women's happiness has been going down. A lot of people, scientists, I should say, call this the paradox of declining female happiness. And it's a paradox because women are much better off in society now than they were in the past. But the problem now is that women sort of have a double role. They have to have the role of working in society, but they also have a lot of the responsibilities for taking care of the household. And so they're playing a double role in society. Studies show that when men do the housework at home, their happiness goes up. So men, come on, get with it, contribute to the housework. But when women do the housework, it does not improve their happiness because it's expected for them to do it. They don't think, oh, I'm doing something to help. It's just like another burden placed on them. Now, what about happiness and age? This little graph shows that happiness tends to go down until middle age. We reach the lowest levels of happiness on the average, of course. Might not be true for you, but on the average, we've done this in many countries in the world. We've studied age and happiness and discovered it's true everywhere in every society that around age 50 or early 50s, people are on the average at their lowest levels of happiness, but then it goes up. It's again a weird paradox that very old people are the happiest. Like, what are they so happy about? They're old. But this is something we see is that age and happiness are related. Does happiness vary by different countries? Yes, it does. It turns out happiness does vary by different countries. Here I'm showing you a little map that highlights the 10 happiest countries in the world. Finland, Denmark, Norway, Iceland. These are countries that are Scandinavian countries where they have very a good standard of living, and they have a very small difference between rich and poor. And this seems to lead to happiness. Okay, now finally I'm getting to what you're interested in. What can I do about happiness? The first thing is get off what we call the hedonic treadmill. Hedonic means you're chasing after pleasure that you think will come from money and material goods. If only I had a better house, if only I had a better this or that or the other thing. This is called the hedonic treadmill, chasing after money, for example. Get off the treadmill. That hedonic stuff will not give you pleasure. For example, there have been many, many studies that show that happiness is not related to consumption. All these studies show us that yes, when you're very poor, you're unhappy. But once you have a certain sort of minimum level of money that you can live on, happiness does not increase as people get wealthier. That when people have a huge amount of money, it doesn't make them happier than when they have just the sort of average amount of money. Yes, when you have a small amount of money, yes, absolutely, that leads to unhappiness. But once you reach a sort of minimum level, then happiness does not improve with consumption. Consuming more and more and more does not lead to extended increases in how many very happy people that we have. Maybe you know this already. Relationships are the #1 factor for happiness. So get out there and #1, build, enhance, improve the relationships that you already have. Relationships, we mean family, friends, and your romantic relationships. So you have 3 different areas to work on. So #1, to enhance those, improve those. And then #2, go out and make new relationships, find new friends, and make those relationships strong. How do I make a relationship strong? Communication is the #1 factor in having a good relationship. So by communicating, we build a relationship. So work on that. Capitalization is the process of sharing good news. So share good news with your significant other, with your friends. And then for your response, use what we call active constructive responses in which you show interest, you show pride, you show curiosity. Don't be jealous. Don't put off the person who's giving you good news. Be happy for them and respond in an active, constructive way. This is the #1 way you build good relationships. Now, if you want to be happy, go out and help other people. We always think, oh, someone needs to help me. I need to get stuff to be happy. No, that is not how we get happy. We get happy by helping other people. Reach out to others. Help your family members, help your friends, help your significant other, your romantic relationship. Help other people, volunteer. Go down to the local food shelf and help people. Here's another way to get off of that happiness set point: savoring. When you have a good experience, savor it. Try to make that last. Make that experience last. Feel it. Pay attention to it. Enjoy it and extend it for a longer period of time. This is called savoring. You want to savor those good, positive experiences. Another idea is called dampening, meaning to reduce the amount of time and energy you spend on negative emotions. Remember the negativity bias makes people sort of by evolution, we're instinctually drawn towards the negative, but we can learn coping techniques to reduce the amount of time that we spend uh, thinking about negative emotions and instead savor the positive. Here's another idea. We have many scientific studies that show that gratitude increases happiness. Be grateful. Pay attention to what you're thankful for and show gratefulness, show gratitude. Write letters to people, be thankful, uh, reach out to other people, show gratitude toward them, and express it. Express your gratitude. This will help your well-being, your health, your happiness, your energy, your optimism. It'll help you have more empathy. Here's another idea how to increase your happiness. The 3 good things exercise. Every day, maybe at night before you go to bed, write down 3 good things, 3 positive experiences that happened to you during that day. And then try to think of an explanation for what caused those good things. This will help your happiness. Yes, it's good to be compassionate towards other people, but be compassionate towards yourself. Be kind and considerate toward yourself. This means 3 things. Number 1, mindfulness. Be aware of yourself. Be aware of your feelings. Recognize what's going on. Secondly, be kind to yourself. Support yourself. Understand yourself. Forgive yourself for mistakes. And 3, make connections. Make connections with people and have communication with people. All right, we already said get off the hedonic treadmill. Get away from hedonism, this search for I need to have pleasure, and reach for what we call eudaimonia, or eudaimonia. This comes from Aristotle, the concept of the good life, the spiritual life. That happiness comes from something other than the goods and the materials that you collect. It comes from character and values. So reach for eudaimonia. Here's a good quote to help you on your search for eudaimonia. Comes from the poet E. Cummings. To be nobody but yourself, nobody but yourself, in a world which is doing its best night and day to make you everybody else, means to fight the hardest battle which any human being can fight and never stop fighting. Yes, that's right. Fight for yourself, to be comfortable in your own skin. Here's an idea to help you on your search for eudaimonia. You find meaning in life. Don't search for money, search for meaning. We have many psychological experiments that show that finding meaning in life leads to happiness. Now, one way to do this is called your ikigai. Find your ikigai. For me, my ikigai is teaching. It's what I love. It's what I have passion for. It's my mission in life. It's what I'm good at. It's what I work at and what I get paid for. And it's what people could use, what they need. So you find your ikigai. You find that one thing that you're good at, that you're passionate about, that people need, that you can make money by doing, that you can get paid for because you're good at it and people want it. That's your ikigai. Find your meaning in life. Of course, there's many other small ways to find meaning in life, but this is one big way, the Japanese phrase, ikigai. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe it gave you some good ideas of things you can try to improve happiness. And be sure to check out my other videos on my channel called Brucey. This is Bruce Hinrichs, psychology professor, saying bye.